So here's a look at the holiday plants that I ended up with after all of the different tablescapes that I made and decorating that I did. So I wanted to show you kind of what I'm left with after the holiday season is over. So this is a kalanchoe. It is in the succulent family, but it's like the easiest thing to grow. And I received that as a gift for Thanksgiving. And it had an ivy and a poinsettia here, and those are gone. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna repot this in a different container and then just keep that going and bring it outside in the summer. These are the holiday cactuses, and I'm just gonna pull off any of these flowers that are done, and it will continue to be a really beautiful plant, and it should be able to make it through and bloom again for me next year. So those both will get repotted. They're really beautiful and healthy. 2 white cyclamen and a red cyclamen. This one's really pretty, but look at the leaves on this one. So I just bought these 2 on clearance. Look at the leaves. Isn't that beautiful? So those are also going to get potted up. And then I have 4 Amaryllis, and I did not want to spend a lot of money on Amaryllis this year, so I decided to wait till they were on sale. And you can see that I'm not really going to get much this year. I might get something. But this one started to grow in the box. This one started to grow in the box. And then these are just about what I would want to buy. So if you can peek into the box when you buy them, these were $2 each. And normally they're like anywhere between $17 and $30, $40. So what I did is I took them out. They had these tops on the top. I took that off and I took out about half of the dirt so that the bulb is exposed. And I'm just gonna let those sit and root and see what they do. And then I might put them together in one pot. I'm not sure yet. So this is what I ended up with after holidays. Everything is incredibly beautiful, healthy, and will keep growing. This was the plastic pot or top that I was talking about that was on the Amaryllis that I took off. So basically it came like this, and it was filled with dirt. I took this off, took half the dirt off, so most of the bulb was exposed and the root was still in there, and just gave it a little bit of water. $2 per plant. It's worth the risk. So these are both Scindapsus pictus. Scindapsus pictus. And they're often known as silver pothos, but I do not believe that there are a pothos. But they're really easy to grow. They're incredibly easy to grow. They're really beautiful, silvery kind of leaves, and you can neglect them quite a bit, which is nice sometimes. So I wanted to show you the difference between these two. This one looked even worse than this one not long ago. Now it looks incredibly full. It has a nice round shape, so it's not, you know, kind of scraggly and all over the place and missing leaves, but it did look like that. So I'm gonna show you what I do to make them beautiful. I actually gave them a really good drink before doing this, but the first thing I'm gonna do is just figure out the length that I want this plant to be, and probably like that is about what I'm looking for. So I'm just gonna go around and do that and give it a really nice haircut. I don't want these kind of touching the ground. Some of them I'm really gonna go pretty drastic on. There's the first step. It already looks better if you ask me. I know some people like that traily look, but it makes the plant look really sparse and odd, if you ask me. So you can do a little untangling here now that it's not so big and kind of see what you got. I'd be happy actually with that, but you see how full this is in comparison to this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take the cuttings and I'm gonna find leaf nodes, so it's just that little knobby bit that you can see right there. And I'm just going to be popping. The reason I gave this a drink is it's much easier to do when it's a little moist. I'm just gonna start popping these in. And you can use longer ones if you want. You just wanna make sure that there is a node where you're popping it, because your roots are gonna grow from that node. And you could do this in water. You could take this and you could pop this in water and it would begin to root, and you can put these little cute things in. But for me, it was just easiest to go ahead and pop these in and just fill out the plant right now so I can kind of see what I'm getting. Like I said, you can use these longer ones, but I think using shorter ones is probably just gonna get you better success, because then the plant isn't saying, oh, I need to take care of this leaf. You're saying, you're asking it to worry about rooting. So, hey little plant, please root for me. And you can kind of just untangle them and pop them in wherever you want. And eventually you start getting something that looks like a really full, I mean, look at this already now. A really full, beautiful Scindapsus. And I'm not really caring too much where everything goes. I'm just trying to fill this space and just make sure that I get those nodes down into the dirt. I will probably come through and just give this some fresh dirt on top. So you can see I'm just kind of going through and using up what I have. I actually took a lot of cuttings from this and I have a bunch in water. So if I need to add more, eventually I can certainly do that. For this one, I actually ended up not using a whole lot of them because it filled up really fast. All right, so that's about what we're looking at. Can you see how much more beautiful this plant is already? And so these sweet things will just start to take root and then they'll grow. And then if I'm smart, I will keep up with it and not let it get so crazy. You can take off any leaves that aren't looking so good. So there you go. Look at that gorgeous plant now. So full, so beautiful. It does not need full sun. This does not need full sun. So you can find some indirect sunlight to put this in. After I've given these a little bit of fresh dirt on top and a good drink, I'm probably gonna ignore them again for a while. So look at that. So this crown right here is all of the ones that I popped in. You'd never know. Isn't that gorgeous? Since I left my studio that is going to turn into a bedroom for Chloe, I have taken over the room that we used to call the kid living room. And that before it was the kid living room, it was Dave's office. It's basically the plant room now. Let me show you. Despite the doom and gloom, this is south facing and it gets incredible light. So really most plants are gonna kind of end up here during the winter because they need all the help they can get. I am thrilled with how well everything's done. Oh, there's my coffee. There's my coffee. Everything's doing really well. But basically, this time of year, what I'm gonna do is everything's getting a drink in the sink. You wanna water things in the sink, let the water run through, or in the shower. And add a little fresh dirt, add some worm castings if you have them. And I always keep my ferns together. I feel like they grow better when I do that. And you're gonna get some loss. I mean, you can see this maidenhair fern, it's, you know, it's looking a little worse for wear, but it's winter. It's not supposed to be this full lush plant. So I'm just hoping I can keep it going. So everything's getting a drink, and then everything will get a diluted, very diluted fish emulsion drink as well. So you can see, this is plants. So there's my Amaryllis that I'm kind of figuring out what I'm gonna do with. Again, I just took them out of that box. They were $2. Next time if I go get more, I'm gonna peek in the box and make sure they don't look like that. But it's okay. These will bloom again for me next year if I take care of them. Here's the Scindapsus Pictus that I showed you. So beautiful, so neglected. Plants that can be neglected get neglected. This will basically be my new office space, studio space, working space. And here's the, I put the white Cyclamen up here for now. Dave's got some tools sitting up there, but these are gonna get repotted into something really beautiful, and then I'll figure out where they're gonna go. Plants everywhere. I still have my my squash that needs to find a home somewhere darker and cooler. It was a really good time. January is just this beautiful time to go in and see what you got going on in the house. It's a little too cold outside, although actually Dave and I actually went outside last night and we weeded and we laid down cardboard around the roses. We're trying to make a hedge of roses, like a border of roses, and we transplanted them last year, I believe. And so all the grass started growing up around them. And so we laid down cardboard, and then we put mostly straw on top of that. I figure the worms probably aren't going to do much right now because it's going to hit like 11 tonight. But eventually, once it warms up, the worms will start to activate that and break down the cardboard. We'll lay compost and mulch over that in the spring. It'll be great. We did that outside in the dark last night at 5 o'clock. It was so nice. It was like 50 degrees. So we had to go out and garden. All right, so I'm just gonna get this Kalanchoe, which is also sometimes called Kalanchoe, also sometimes called Kalanchoe. I like Kalanchoe. It's the one I heard the most when I was researching pronunciations, and I just think it sounds really nice, Kalanchoe. And again, this is a succulent, you guys. This is like, I would call this the easiest to grow succulent. I had a Kalanchoe that I kept alive for like 5 years, and I would bring it outside every summer. And I'm not sure what happened. I guess one summer I just wasn't there enough, or it got too wet or something. Might have been a rainy summer. I really can't remember what happened, but it was like I was so proud of keeping that plant alive. It was just like this, but with red leaves. I really like this peachy one. This was a gift, like a, hostess gift. We hosted Thanksgiving. I don't know, white sweaters, maybe not the best to dig in dirt with, but you do what you do. I should be using new dirt probably. There's new dirt on the bottom, but I'm just using this because it was kind of a fresh plant. It's not that I was worried about the dirt. It's just that this was too big of a container for just one plant. It had 3 in it. So this is gonna go into something pretty, a pretty pot or a pretty basket, but I'm using the plastic. If you use the plastic, you have the ability to move it around quite a bit and change its location, change its basket, change its pot. And then as it grows, it gets bigger, smaller, whatever. Sometimes they get smaller, sometimes they don't get bigger, just so you know. Like if you find a dead plant and you have to like take off the dead pieces, it will get smaller. You'll actually have to pot it in a smaller pot. You can then change it from this plastic and then just put it into something more pretty. So it's a really good idea to keep these when you get them. You can also use them for potting up stuff for the garden outside. All right, so that's the Kalanchoe. Gorgeous plant. Beautiful. These are really inexpensive. You can find these, and you know, big box stores I don't always recommend buying plants from, but it is the one I would say you can get at a big box store and not have to worry about it. It does so well. So just on a whim, I've decided that I'm gonna put some bulbs in here because I still have a ton of dirt. It's a cute basket. I still have bulbs to plant in containers. This is an ornithogalum nuntus, nutans, ornithogalum nutans. I've got 10 of them. I'll show you a picture of what they look like. Now I have to actually figure out which is the root and which is the pointy. See how much they look alike? This is the root. So I'm gonna pop these in here, and then I'm gonna cover them with new soil. Again, I'm just using this soil. It looks really good, draining soil. I already have it, I don't wanna waste it. It's good, fresh soil. So I still have quite a few packages of bulbs that need to get planted, and I have all my bulbs hanging out in the sun porch here where it's really cold. There's this little tiny one. I don't think that's gonna do anything, but I'm gonna put it in anyway. And then I'm just gonna cover this with dirt. You can see my little bulbs. Cover these guys. I'm using a cactus mix. It's what I have. It's well draining. Just use what you have. I will give this a water. And then I'm just gonna add it down here to my rows and rows of potted bulbs. Basically what the sun porch became. I don't know if this is where they should be. I don't know if this is a good spot, but they don't get wet in here and they stay very, very cold. But I do have to every now and then open the windows, I think, to allow air in. So it's not really a greenhouse, but it's basically a greenhouse. I mean, it's a house of glass. It's a glass house, glass porch. So that's where all these bulbs are. And then this spring, they'll get moved back out. All right, so most of this is done. I just popped these cyclamen in these wooden planters. It's probably not where they're gonna live, but for now, this is a north-facing window. This will be my next project. Can I save these plants? And then I've got the holiday cactus here. And then I just popped the Amaryllis in front of my seed storage, and they're probably something else will happen to them, but I just like the way they look. Pretty simple. Then I put the Scindapsus and the Kalanchoe, just tucked them over here in this corner for now. This basket is too big for the Kalanchoe, but it's gonna live there until I find something else. And then the Scindapsus should grow up and be a little bit more full. Fill that space out. I've got a snake plant behind there. And then this red cyclamen is just gonna hang out with the ducks until I figure out exactly where it's gonna go. Table is cleaned off. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you.